Welcome to the part 3 of the series on Ayurvedic clinical examination and diagnostic methods. So, this section 3 deals exclusively with the Dashavida Pariksha. As we have seen in the previous episodes, the scheme of diagnostic workup that we can follow in a patient is as first we go for the Rogi Roga Pariksha, next we list out the Lakshana Sangraha, then we identify the Dosha Vishesha, then we identify the Dusha Vishesha, then we will get a picture about the Srotas involved and the involved Roga Maga. Then we can formulate a Samprapti and finally diagnose the disease and classify the disease into different avasthas. Then we can plan a customized treatment protocol. So in this Rogi Roga Pariksha, there are several methods including Trivida, Shadvida, Ashtasthana Pariksha, etc. And one among the important Rogi Pariksha is Dashavida Pariksha. So in Dashavida Pariksha, which is dealt in detail in Charaka Vimanasthana, 8th chapter, where there is an extensive explanation regarding all those factors or therapeutic indicators that have to be explored into a patient during the clinical encounter. So let us move into Dashavida Pariksha. So there are 10 factors as the name implies: Prakriti, Vikriti, Sara, Samhanana, Pramana, Satmya, Sattva, Ahara Shakti, Vyayama Shakti, and Vayas. So if you look at these, except this Vikriti, all the other 9 factors are pertaining to the patient's body, and the Vikriti Pariksha is about the clinical manifestations or the disease that is expressed in the patient's body. So Vikriti Pariksha will give us an idea about how strong or how weak the disease is, and all the other 9 factors combinedly will give us an idea about what is the strength and other metabolic status of the patient's body, so that whether he can tolerate the disease as well as the stringent treatment measures that are necessary to mitigate the disease or not. So that is why the Dashavida Pariksha will help us in identifying Bala Pramana Vishesha Grahana Hedoho, so that it will give us an idea about the strength of the disease as well as the strength of the patient. One important thing that we have to keep in our mind while dealing with the Dashavida Pariksha is this is an extensive process which takes time, so that we may be needing continuous or multiple sittings with the patient in order to elicit all of these factors. So there are many physicians who do a very short Dashavida Pariksha because they are highly experienced, and they may get an idea even with a brief encounter with the patient. But as far as beginners or students are concerned, they have to apply the principles and they should do an elaborate Dashavida Pariksha with spending much time with the patient rather than going for a shortcut method. Especially when we go for assessing factors like Prakriti or Sara, we may need multiple sittings with the patient. And even when a patient comes to us with in a diseased state, most of these manifestations regarding his normal Prakriti would have been masked by the abnormal manifestations. So that also may hinder us in identifying the exact Prakriti of the patient. So whenever we go into a patient for analyzing the Dashavida Pariksha, we have to keep all these factors in our mind. So first let us go into the first factor, that is Prakriti. So Prakriti, as we all know, it's nothing but the body constitution, and it has been determined already during the formation of the embryo. But there are several factors that comes into play in determining the Prakriti of each individual. So like Shukra Shonita Prakriti, that means the predominance in the Shukra and Shonita, or we can call it as the ovum and the sperm. Kala Garbhashaya Prakriti, so that the status of the Garbhashaya at the time. Madhura Ahara Vihara Prakriti, so that during the formation or immediately preceding the formation of the embryo, what are the food and other activities of the mother, and Mahabhuta Vikara Prakriti, so that depending upon the Pancha Mahabhuta predominates at the time of this embryo formation. So these are some of the important determining or deterministic factors that has influence on deciding what Prakriti a person falls into. Again, Prakriti can be classified based on the dosha predominance like Vadala, Pittala, Sleshmala, or Dvandvaja, or a Sama Prakriti. So, some individuals may have Vada predominant Prakriti, some individuals Pitta predominant, some individuals Kapha, or some individuals may have a mix of these doshas, or equal of all these three leads to Sama Prakriti, which can be considered as only an ideal concept, because in practice we never come across a Sama Prakriti as such. Usually in practice we may get a Dvandvaja where two doshas are predominant or one dosha are predominant. So the question is, why we have to assess Prakriti? Again, Prakriti has various implications in our practice. One is it gives us an idea about the status of the health, so that we will get an idea about the body characteristics or the physical strength of the individual, about his basal metabolic and digestive activities, his immune status. Again, it gives us the idea about his disease susceptibility, expression of the symptoms, or the predisposition to a particular disease or response to treatment. For example, Vada predominant Prakritis are more predisposed to developing Vada predominant diseases. Expression of the symptoms. Again, the same disease, for example, a single virus can cause different manifestations in different individuals based on their respective Prakritis. So that even Prakriti has an influence on the expression of on the symptoms, and also regarding response to the treatment. With regards to response to treatment as well, different patients respond to different kind of medicines as well as other Shodhana measures. So assessing the Prakriti is again important as a therapeutic indicator as well, so that we have to customize the treatment based on their Prakriti. And even it's important in case of selection of medicines. And again, Prakriti is important for determining the prognosis, where a Vada predominant disease in a Vada Prakriti may have a more unfavorable prognosis rather than a Vada predominant disease in a Kapha predominant individual. So again, Prakriti can be or should be used as a therapeutic indicator as well. Prakriti can again be used for prediction of the health status. For example, a Kapha or a Sama Prakriti person have a long life, they suffer less from diseases, they have a stable mind, and possess comparatively more strength when compared to other Prakritis. On the contrary, a Vata Prakriti person have a shorter lifespan, they frequently suffer from diseases, and even they have a flickering type of mind where they have some difficulty in making proper decisions, etc. So that is why with the help of Prakriti, we can also give a prediction about the health status. Such parameters are being validated by modern research studies, where there are several factors that have been found to be aligned with the different Prakritis. So this concept is again very important in our patient assessment. Again, for planning treatment, this is an example of why we have to assess the Prakriti for planning a treatment. Just take an example of a Pitta Prakriti person who develops a Vada predominant disease. So usually for a Vadaja disease, Ushna or hot treatments are usually indicated. But since the patient's Prakriti is Pitta predominant, Ushna Chikitsa is contraindicated in such an individual. So we may have to go for a Brahmana or a Tarpana line of management, especially with the Madhura Rasa, which is directed against Vada, as well as it will not cause any problem to the Pitta. However, in a Kapha Prakriti patient, if a Vadaja disorder manifests, then we can go for Ushna Chikitsa. But measures like Snigdha or Guru, which are indicated in Vada, cannot be given in a Kapha Prakriti patient. So again, this permutation and combinations have to be worked out before planning the treatment strategy. If in a Pitta Prakriti patient, a Kapha predominant disease manifests, then again, Ushna Chikitsa, which is usually indicated in Kapha, cannot be done in a Pitta patient. So we may have to go for a Dukshana with a Tikta Rasa drugs. So this is how different permutation and combination can happen between the dosha that are responsible, or a baseline dosha in the Prakriti, and dosha that are responsible for disease. So that is why knowing the Prakriti is very much important before initiating the treatment. So how to assess Prakriti? This is again another challenging factor, especially in case of patients, because normally in normal individuals it's very easy to assess Prakriti because it is not masked by other abnormal features. But whenever we do this Prakriti assessment in a patient, then it becomes a challenging scenario because we always have to ask about pre-morbid state, so that what all were his features or activities or digestion before the onset of the disease and after the onset of the disease. So the factors those were present before the onset of the disease are important whenever we go for assessing the Prakriti. So that is why Prakriti may be very difficult to assess in cases of diseases with severe manifestations. In general, how we can assess? We get lot of lakshanas explained in our Samhitas. What we can do practically is that we can arrange those lakshanas into physical attributes, psychological attributes, Agni or digestive function, and other functional attributes. So let us see in case of Shleshma Prakriti. So this I have taken from the Samhitas, especially Charaka Samhita. I have arranged based on these parameters. This is only one of the approaches. This is not final one. You can have any type of approach that is comfortable for your assessment. For example, very experienced physician, they just look for 2 or 3 attributes and then they will know how the Prakriti will be in a patient because of their experience. So these are only indicators. We can populate this list, or we can make this list into a shorter one and look for any specific attributes. And nowadays even we have different softwares or online platforms which can give you the Prakriti if you type in the specific features. So in case of Shleshma Prakriti, physical attributes, Snigdhanga, Slikshnanga, Drishti Sukha Sugumara Avadada Gatra, Prabhuda Shukra Vyavayavatyaha, Sara Samhita Stira Sharira, Upajita Paripurna Sarvanga, Suslishta Sara Sandibandana, Prasanna Darsananana, Prasanna Snigdha Varnaswarasha, Alpa Sandapa Sweda. So that the individual will be very pleasing to see. The body parts will be what you call as full and selection or somewhat slimy. Then the patient will have Prabhuda Shukra, and his sexual activity also will be very good. And the body is totally what we can call as fully replenished or fully functional. And Prasanna Darsana Ananaha, so that the individual is pleased to watch it or to look at. And in case of psychological attribute, Vidya Vandaha, the person will be a good scholar, Ojasvinaha, very active, and Shandaha, so that he is very calm and quiet in his behavior. Ashigraramba Kshobha Vigaraha, so that the person will not get angry easily. He is of stable mind. Usually his activities he usually does in a slow and composed or a calm and composed manner. Alpa Kshutrishna, regarding his digestive function, usually he has a very what you call mild appetite and mild thirst. Other attributes like Manda Cheshta Ahara Vyahara, whatever activities that the person does will be very slow in nature. Saradhishtita Avastida Gadeha, his gait will be very stable and well grounded. Balavando Vasumanto, so that the patient is very balavan or full of strength and full of wisdom, and Ayushmantaha, so that such individuals will have long life as well. Next is regarding Pitta Prakriti. Again, basically the individual is Ushnasaha, Ushna Mukhaha. So basically Pitta being on the hotter side, the individual will be less tolerable to hot atmospheres. Ushna Mukhaha. Sugumara Avadada Gatra, again a soft and supple body. Prabhuda Piplu Vyenga Tila Pidagaha, so that the patient's body will have, the skin will have various molds or other pigmentary disorders. Rather than disorders, we can call it as a lot of even normal pigmentations. Kshipra Vali Palida Khalitya Doshaha, so that the individual will have Kshipra Vali Palida. The individual will develop graying of hair prematurely. So premature graying and wrinkling of the skin, graying of the hair and wrinkling of the skin. Mrudu Alpa Kapila Smashru Loma Keshascha. So basically the hair will be on the lesser side and the softer ones. Shidhila Mrudu Sandhi Mamsaha. The joints, the muscles, etc. will be supple. Prabhuda Srishta Sweda Mutra Purishascha. excessive sweating as well as excess of other malas like purisha and mudra. Prabodha Pudi Kakshasya Shira Shariragandhaha. The body will be usually foul smelling. We know that there are certain individuals who have a lot of body smell, body odor. Madhya Balaha, Madhya Ayushoho. If we classify them based on the strength, these individuals will have Madhya Bala or the middle variety of the body strength, and even the Ayus will be Madhya. As far as psychological attributes are concerned, Madhya Jnana Vijnanaha, the intellect will be of Madhya in nature. Tikshna Parakramaha, they will be ferocious in their attitude, so that they get angry easily. So that they are very Tikshna Parakramaha. Regarding the digestion, compared to the other two prakritis, these people will have more of hunger and thirst. Tikshna Agni will be there. Prabhudasana, they eat a lot. And Prabhuda Srishta Vinmutraha, and they also excrete this urine and feces quite often compared to other prakritis. Then other attributes like these individuals will be Klesha Asahishnavo, so they cannot tolerate hardships that much compared to Kapha Prakriti. Alpa Shukra Vevaya Patyaha, so their sexual activity will be also less compared to Kapha, and even progenies will be less compared to that of Kapha. Madhya Vittobhagaranavantascha. Even their financial status, etc., will be in the Madhya nature. So that is regarding Pitta Prakriti. Next is Vada Prakriti. Ruksha Apajita Alpa Shariraha. So that the body will be Ruksha Apajita Alpa. So that the suppleness that we found in Kapha and Pitta will not be there in case of Vada. So that is Ruksha Sharira. Pradada Ruksha Kshama Sanna Sakta Jarjara Swaraha. The voice, again, the sound will be just like rough and broken. Jagaruga, they sleep less compared to the other two prakritis. If you compare Kapha Prakriti, they may sleep a lot. They have good and sound sleep. But in case of Vada Prakriti, they don't have that much sound sleep compared to that of Kapha Prakriti. Lagu Chapala Gadi Cheshta Ahara Vyaharaha. The gait also will not be as if grounded as you find in Kapha. And all the activities, including gait, will be very fast compared to the other two prakritis. And even the food intake will be faster compared to the other prakritis. Anavastida, Sandhi, Akshi, Bru, Hanu, Oshta, Jihva, Shiraha. The body parts will be as if it is loosely fit. It's not compact enough. Skanda Panipadaha. So again, Anavastida, Skanda Panipadaha. Bahu Kandara Sira Pradhanaha. The body skin will have lot of visible tendons and blood vessels. Parusha, Kesha, Shmashru, Roma, Nagha, Dashana, Vadana, Panipadaha. So that all these Kesha, Shmashru, Roma, Nagha, etc., all these attributes will be having roughness. Spudidanga Vevaha, Sadada Sandhi Shabdagaminascha. So that body parts will make particular sounds during their movements, especially joints will produce crackling sounds when compared to other prakritis. Psychological attributes, these people, they talk a lot. They will be talkative. Bahu Pralabha, Shigra Samaramba Kshobaha. Again, they have all these emotions very fast. So they may get anger very easily, and they will this anger will subside very easily. So that all these are very fast. So that is why Shigra Trasa Raga Viraga Srudagrahi Alpa Smriti. They will comprehend the things very easily, but their retention power is less compared to Kapha and Pitta Prakritis. Regarding the digestive functions, they have Vishamagni, so that there will be irregular appetite. So they have voracious appetite at some time and very less appetite on other times. So that is why Vishamagni. Other functional attributes like Shita Asahishnu, they are less tolerable to cold conditions or cold climate. Pradada Shita Godvebhagastambaha, they are more prone to this tremors, etc., when they are exposed to Shita atmospheres. Prayena Alpa Balascha, Alpa Ayushascha, Alpa Apatyascha, Alpa Sadhanascha, Alpa Dhanascha Bhavandi. So when compared to other two prakritis, they have less money in their hand. They have less fortunes compared to the other. They have less bala compared to the other prakritis. So that is why Vada Prakriti is considered to be of inferior quality compared to other Prakritis. So now we have seen the features of each of these Prakritis, but in practice we always see a mixture of these features. So we may have to bring into a scoring system and we record all the features available, and based on the predominance of each of the lakshanas of each of the doshas, we can classify the individual into different Prakritis. We have to keep in mind that all these features may not be present in all of the individuals. So we have to apply our consensus before arriving in the decision. So that is regarding the Prakriti. Next is the Vikriti. The next factor is the Vikriti. So Vikriti Deschedi, Vikriti Ruchede, Vigaraha. Tatra Vigaram, Hedu, Dosha, Dusha, Prakriti, Desha, Kala, Bala Visheshe, Linga Desha, Parikshet. So here he says about how we have to assess the Vigara. So this I am going to deal in detail in the part 4, that is the Roga Pariksha of this lecture series. So I am going to skip this Vikriti in this because I have a separate section for this Roga Pariksha. But in Vikriti we have to assess the Hedu, Dosha, Dusha, Prakriti. Again here the Prakriti is not the Adura Prakriti. This is the Prakriti of the Roga, not the Prakriti of the person. Here the Prakriti means it is a specific characteristic feature of the disease. So that is why Prakriti, Desha, Kala. Again this Prakriti in some context this Vigara Prakriti is considered as dosha itself. So there are several definitions for this Prakriti that we will discuss in Roga Pariksha. Next, let's go into the next factor, that is Sara. Again, just like Prakriti, this assessing Sara needs tremendous patience on our part, because it needs continuous exposure or multiple sitting with the patient to assess, because there are several traits that we have to assess to identify the Sara of an individual. Again, there are 8 Saras that is explained in the textbook. Saradaschedi, Sarani, Ashtau Purushana, Bala, Mana, Vishesha Jnanartham Upadishyate. So that this is mainly done to assess the Bala Mana. So we have to assess or quantify the Bala of the individual. For this, the Sara is being assessed. So there are 8 Saras that is being assessed. Tvak, Rekta, Mamsa, Meda, Asti, Majja, Shukra, Sattva Saras. So these 8 Saras we have to assess. So what we usually do is we individually assess all these Sara Lakshanas in the patient. Then we quantify and then we get an overall score, and we classify the individuals into whether the patient belongs to a Pravara Sara, Madhyama Sara or Avara Sara. There is a practice among certain practitioners, like they just identify the individual Sara and label the person as Asti Sara, Mamsa Sara, etc. But such a practice is not that much beneficial as far as managing a patient is concerned, because we have to get an overall Sara status of the individual. So what we usually do is we quantify the independent Saras, then we get an overall score and we see and we classify the patient into Pravara Sara, Madhyama Sara or Avara Sara. So Sara will help us to assess the optimum status of the Sharira Dhatus. So we know that there are 7 Sharira Dhatus, and analyzing the Sara will help us to understand an overall idea about whether they are functioning normally with all their normal properties. And another thing is that if we see regarding the Prakriti of an individual may not change, or it will not change as such during his lifetime. And it has been told that if at all some of the factors pertaining to Prakriti changes, then it is a sign of bad prognosis. But that is not in the case of Sara. Sara can change during the various stages of the life depending upon the nutrition status as well as lifestyle of the person. And again, assessing the Sara will help us to get an overall idea about the functioning of the Ojas. Ojas is nothing but the essence of all the 7 Dhadus. So when all the Dhadus have very good Sara, ultimately the Ojas will also have good Sara Lakshanas. So why to assess the Sara? So Sara will again help us in predicting the health status of the individual. It will give us an idea about the immune strength and disease susceptibility of the individual, and also it will help us in assessing the prognosis of the disease. So for prediction of the health status, a person with Pravara Sara or excellent Sara will have optimal strength with good self confidence. He can tolerate misery. He suffers very less from diseases and also enjoys healthy aging. Whereas Avarasara always indicates low ojas, so that he is more predisposed to diseases and again less tolerant to various Shodhana procedures. So whenever we get a person with a poor Sara or an overall Swara, what we have to do is we should go for assessing each of the dhadus and look for specific dhadu Sara lakshanas and identify which all dhadus have Avara Sara, so that we can formulate medications or other therapeutic strategies to improve the particular Sara. So that is why for prediction of the health status as well as for determining the therapeutic measures, we need to assess Sara. There are several diseases explained in our Samhitas that tend to affect Sara directly. For example, Pandu Roga, where Sara affliction is told, Rajeshma, Udara, Vada Vyadis, certain Vada Vyadis. So, there are several conditions where typically the Sara can be afflicted. Let us go into each of the Sara Lakshanas. So, I am going to read out the slokas. I am not going in detail about the meaning of each of the terminologies. Instead of that, I would like to explain some of the factors practically with which we can identify the excellence of each dhadus. So in Toksara, Toksara has some relation to the Rasa dhatu. So that is why Toksara is explained first. In Toksara, Tatra Snigdha Slakshna Mrudu Prasanna Sukshma Alpa Gambhira Sugumara Loma Saprabhevacha Toksarana. So he says about features pertaining to the hair, its distribution, its characteristic features, along with the condition of the skin. And after explaining each of the Sara Lakshanas, Acharya says what are the attributes or what are the implications of that Sara, excellence in that Sara, in the day to day life of the individual. So, Sarada, Suga, Saubhagya, Aishwarya, Ubabhoga, Buddhi, Vidya, Arogya, Praharshanani, Ayushyatvam cha ajaste. So such an individual will be bestowed with all these qualities like Suga, Saubhagya, Aishwarya, etc. etc. So practically what we can do is just look for how the hair is in the given individual. Whether it is unctuous, smooth, soft, clear, fine, less numerous, deep rooted and tender. Look at the skin, especially its luster, whether it is lustrous or not. So in short, we can say that the skin and hairs are good looking and soft, and such individuals will have mental attributes in terms of happiness, intellect, knowledge and excitement, and in terms of long term achievements, good fortunes, power, enjoyment, health and longevity. So this now we now know that this cannot be assessed in a single sitting. Also, we need a long term what you call profile of the patient to identify each of these RS. So this is what I stressed upon initially during my introduction to the SARA. So in all these SARAs, I have tried to incorporate few photos of individuals who are familiar to us in the public domain. These are not exact correlations, but just some what you call examples with which we can relate each of these saras. So in the Toksara, anyway, there are no famous individuals I have included. But you see, a typical Toksara individual may have a hair something like this. Even not only the hair of the head that we have to look into, but even the body parts. And the skin will be lustrous. Of course, this is a model, and she might have used a lot of. But just to give you an idea about how a Toksara individual will look like. And on the other side, I would like to show you images of individuals who have avara or a very inferior toksaras. So you can see a druksha or a dry and cracked skin, and you can see this hair whether it is rough, whether it is very scanty, and there is hair loss as well. So this indicates avara sara of the tok. Whereas such a picture, even though it's ideal, just to relate to the concept of the sara, I have included this photograph. So this may be a good toksara, whereas this is a avara toksara. Next, let us go into the Rektasara. Karna, Akshi, Muga, Jihva, Nasa, Oshta, Pani, Padatala, Naga, Lalata, Mehanam, Snigdha, Rekta Varnam, Srimad Brajishnu, Rekta Saranam. So that all these parts of the body will have Snigdha Rekta Varna, Srimad Brajishnu, very what you call pleasing to look at. Such an individual will be having Rektasara. And what are the long-term implications? Sasarada, Sugamuddhadam, Medham, Manasvitvam, Saugumaryam, Anadibalam, Akleshasaha, Asahishnutvam, Ushna Sahishnutvam Chajaste. So such individuals will be Klesha Asahishnu. They cannot tolerate much hardships. Even they cannot tolerate much heat as well. But they have good intellect and good functioning of the mind. So let us see how practically we can assess Rektasara. So external appearance of ears, eyes, face, tongue, nose, lips, soles of the hand and feet, nails, etc. will be unctuous, pinkish or reddish in color or coppery in tinge, beautiful and dazzling. The body will be usually warm, and regarding the physical endurance, they have moderate strength, and usually they have inability to face hardships. So such individuals are interpreted as Sugumara Purushas in Ayurveda. Mental attributes including happiness, enthusiasm, tender mind, empathy, and they always will be genius. See, if you take the example of Mammootty, a famous Malayalam actor, we can see that he may have good Rektasara Lakshanas. Again, this is, as I told earlier, there is a warning that comes with this package because I have not seen him in person or able to analyze him directly. Just to relate to the concept of that Rektasara, I have included this photograph, and I am not saying that this is final. This my opinion is final. This is a patient with Avara Rektasara, so that you can see all the luster of the skin and the pinkishness of the skin is lost. And typically the patient has lakshanas pertaining to Rektakshaya. So this is a good Rektasara individual, whereas this is a Avara Rektasara individual. Next is Mamsasara. Shankha, Lalata, Krikadiga, Akshiganda, Hanugriva, Skanda, Udara, Kaksha, Vaksha, Panipada Sandayaha, Stira, Guru, Shubha Mamsopajida, Mamsasarana. So that all these body parts will be properly covered with a firm and a nicely covered mamsa, or we can say plumpiness. So what are the long-term implications? Sasarada, Kshama, Dhridim, Alaulyam, Vittam, Vidya, Sukham, Arjavam, Arogyam, Balam, Ayushcha, Dirgham, Ajashte. So these individuals have Dirgha Ayu, good Bala, then good money in their hand because they are able to properly function with their body. That's why. So all these are long-term implications. So again, we need a long-term profile of the patient to identify all these factors. So practically look for beautiful appearance and plumpiness of the temples, forehead, nape, eyes, cheeks, jaws, all these body parts. Well covered bones and joints so that the bones are not that much visible around the joints. With good musculature, stable joints and relatively heavy body parts. Mental attributes include forgiveness, patience, non-greediness, happiness and simplicity. Long-term achievements in terms of wealth, knowledge, health, strength and longevity. So this may be an individual with a good Mamsasara, whereas this may be an individual where the Mamsasara is Avara because the Mamsa is totally lost, so that the patient has Shosha. In such individuals, you may have Avara Lakshanas of or Avara Sara Lakshanas of other Dadus as well. But here on the first look, the impression is that the Mamsasara is on the Avara side, but here it's a good Mamsasara. Next is Medosara, Varna, Swara, Netra, Kesha, Loma, Naga, Danda, Oshta, Mutra Purisheshu, Visheshadaha, Sneho, Medasarana. So all these factors or body parts or Mutra and Purisha will have Sneha. They will be unctuous. So what are the long-term implications? Sasarada, Vitta, Aishwarya, Sukhobhaboga, Pradana, Arjavam, Sukumaropacharadamcha, so that they have good money in their hand and they will be very what you call living in a lavish lifestyle, and there will be Sugumara also, very good to look at as well. So in the external features, look for unctuous complexion, unctuous voice, eyes, head and body, hair, nails, all these will be very unctuous, and a mellow voice and less endurance to physical labor. Mental attributes in terms of happiness, enjoyment, charity, simplicity, and delicate habits. Achievements, wealth, and power. So typically this will be a good Medosara Purusha or individual, and this is a Avara Medosara. Even though you can see here Mamsa is okay, but the Medas is on the lesser side. So that is why this is a good Medosara person, whereas this is a Avara Medosara person. Astisara, Parshni, Gulfa, Janu Aratni, Jetru, Chibuga, Shira, Parva Stulaha, Stulasti, Naga, Dandascha, Astisaraha. So that all these body parts will be stula or bulky. These are bony prominences rather than muscle mass. And the long-term implications include Mahotsaha, Kriyavanda, Kleshasaha, Sara, Stida Shariraha, Bhavandi, Ayushmantamsha. So they have long life. They are Kleshasaha. They are able to tolerate hardships, and they are always very active. And look for robust heels, ankles, knees, forearms, collarbones, chin, head, joints, bones, nails, and teeth. Big head, shoulders, and big teeth, big jaws, bones, and nails. And they are always very enthusiastic, active, and endowed with strong and firm bodies. So if you look at the famous Bollywood actor Amitabh Bachchan, we can consider him as having good Asti Sara. It's not that he doesn't have other Saras, but predominantly we can see that he has Asti Sara. And here this patient has a poor Asti Sara because you can see there are a lot of deformities in the bone. So maybe a case of osteogenesis imperfecta. Such conditions where there is an extensive involvement of the Asti can be considered as Avara Asti Sara Purusha. This is a Pravara Asti Sara Purusha. Next is Majjasara, Mriduangaha, Balavantaha, Snigdhavarnaswaraha, Stula Dirghavritta Sandescha, Majjasaraha. And such individuals will have Dirghayusho, Balavantaha, Shruda, Vitta, Vijnana, Apatya, Sammana Bhajascha. So these individuals will be very famous in the community. So look for soft and strong body parts, unctuous complexion, voice, robust, long and rounded joints, and big eyes. Achievements in terms of longevity, strength, wealth, knowledge, and progeny, and even honor. So if you look at the famous Indian actress Aishwarya Rai, we can consider herself as a Majjasara, having good Majjasara with the well-rounded joints, big eyes. And this individual we can consider it as a Avara Majjasara. Next is Shukrasara, Saumyaha, Saumya Prekshinaha, Kshirapurnalocana iva, Praharsha Bahula, Snigdha Vritta Sara Samhada, Shigara Dashanaha, Prasanna Snigdha Varnaswara, Bhrajishnavo, Mahaspijascha, Shukrasara. And such individuals will be sexually very active as well because of the Shukra, what you call good essence of Shukra that is formed in their body. Te Stri Priyobhavogaha, Balavantaha, Sukha, Aishwarya, Arogya, Vitta, Sammana, Abatya Bhajascha. So they have a lot of progenies, they are very rich. So these are the long-term implications. So look for gentle look, having eyes as if filled with milk, that is Kshira Purnalocanaha. Unctuous, compact white bones, teeth, nails, beautiful, clean and unctuous complexion and voice, dazzling appearance and large buttocks. Strong, and they are usually loved by women. Mental attributes include cheerful, happiness, they have a high sexual drive, and achievements in terms of power, health, wealth, honor, and lot of children. So look at these two famous actors, one from Malayalam film industry as well as one from Bollywood. We can consider them as having good Shukrasara. And this patient, he's a case of Klinefelter syndrome. He doesn't have any progeny. You can see that feminine characteristic features. So here the Shukrasara can be considered as less. So that is regarding the Sara pertaining to different dhadus. Next is the sara of the mind or mental power, that is sattva sara, smriti mando, bhakti manda, kritajnaha, prajnaha, shujayo, mahotsaha, daksha, धीराः समरविक्रान्तयोधिनः त्यक्तविषादाः सुव्यवस्थितगति गम्भीरबुद्धिचेष्टाः कल्याणाभिनिवेशिनश्च sattvasaराः. So that they have good memory, they behave very nicely, and their mental strength is very good, and so that is why they are brave, dhiraha, and they have a stable mind. So look for good memory and intelligence. They are devout, grateful, they have good cleanliness, enthusiastic, brave, cautious, having patience. They are always a well-wishers of the community. They are always good for others. They do good for others, and they have a helping mentality, and they are devoid of unnecessary tensions and worries. So this is the best example of a person who has good sattvasara. Lord Krishna explained in our Mahabharata. He is considered to have very good mind. That is why he is considered as the expounder of Gita. So we cannot cite a better example than Lord Krishna with Sattvasara. Next is an individual who has Sarvasara, who is enriched with all the saras. Tatra sarvai sare rupedaha purusha bhavanti adibalaha parama sukha yuktaha क्लेशसः सर्वारम्भेषु आत्मनि जातप्रत्ययाः कल्याणाभिनिवेशिनः स्थिरसमाहितशरीराः सुसमाहितगतयः सानुनादस्निग्धगम्भीरमहास्वराः सुख ऐश्वर्यवित्तोपभोगसम्मानभाजो मन्दजरसो मन्दविकाराः प्रायस्तुल्यगुणविस्तीर्णापत्याश्चिरजीविनश्च. So that they have very good body strength. They are enriched with all the what you call pleasantries in life. Kleshasaha, they are able to tolerate hardships. Sarvarambeshu atmani jata pratyaha. So this indicates their what you call readiness, or what we can say, they are always active. Kalyana abhiniveshinaha, they always work for the good. Sthira samahita shariraha, they have well what you call defined and compact body, very good steady gait, that is susamahita gadayaha. Then regarding their voice, they have a very deep as well as very pleasing voice, and they are always bestowed, such individuals are always bestowed with all the wealth and happiness in their life, and they always age graciously, and they are always less prone to diseases. That is a manda vikaraha. So that is regarding the individual who has sarva sara. And opposite are asadhya. Sorry, alpasaraha. And there are individuals who have madhya saras. So we can classify these individuals into pravarasara, madhyamasara, and avarasara. So in sarvasara, you look at great mental and physical strength, firm and well-built body, good tolerance levels regarding the physical and mental attributes, very deep, clear and assuring voice, slow and healthy aging, and their achievements include wealth, power and respect, and they are always endowed with children and longevity. So if you look at the famous physician Dr. P.K. Vaidya sir of Kottakkal Ayurveda fraternity, we can see that he is one of the best examples that we can give for a individual who has pravara sara lakshanas of all the dhadus. He's already 99 years of age. He has all those attributes pertaining to a pravara sara purusha. Next, after sara is the samhanana. So samhanana is nothing but samhadi, samyojanam. So how well all the body parts are put together as a unit. So there is also an explanation on a samhananam, melagaha. So how these are put together. So tatra sama suvibhaktasti, subhadda sandhi, sunivishtamamsa shonidam, susamhadam shariram ityuchyate. So that well defined joints and properly fit well defined bones, properly fit joints, and well connected tendons and other muscles, and even good functioning of the blood. All this indicates a body with a good samhanana. And such individuals will be balavantaha, so that they are always balavan or very strong, so that they can tolerate disease as well as other treatment measures. Vipariyena alpabalaha madhyatvat samhananasya madhyamabalaha. So again, in samhanana as well, we classify the patient into pravara, alpa and madhyama. So usually in practically in samhanana, we look at compactness of the body and integrity of the tissues. So this is usually assessed through the compactness of the asti or bone, sandhi or joints, along with the status of mamsa and shonida attended to it. So deciding factors for samhanana include genetics, the standard of living and quality of life, changes in the lifestyles, nutrition, and even ethnic compositions. For example, some people pertaining to some ethnic groups will have good samhanana, whereas others will have poor. Again classified as susamhada, madhya samhada, or asamhada, or we can say pravara samhanana, madhyama samhanana, or avara samhanana. So why it's assessed? Again, it's for prediction of the health status, promotion. We can individuals with the poor samhanana, we can advise medicines as well as exercises to strengthen their physical attributes. So that is why promotion of the health status, disease, to identify the disease predisposition, and even planning the therapy. So these are some of the photos that I have put here to give you an idea about what a poor samhanana will look like. So here the body parts, we can see that they are not put together either genetically, or here this has been affected due to a disease. So in such individuals, usually the samhanana we consider it as avara. Next is regarding the next factor, that is pramana. So after sattva, next is samhanana, then next is pramana. So in pramana, प्रमाणदश्चेति शरीरप्रमाणं पुनः यथा स्वेनाङ्गुलिप्रमाणेन उपदेक्ष्यते उत्सेद विस्तार आयामे यथाक्रमम्. So here pramana is nothing but the what you call as anthropometric characteristic feature of the body. It always deals with measurements of different body parts in swa-angulimana. That means the patient's own angulimana. So here again we can classify the individuals into a individual with a good pramana, that is pravara, madhyama and avara, and again based on the attributes, the disease predisposition is also assumed accordingly. A good individual with what you call a good pramana, and this such, even if pramana is higher than therapeutic, in a therapeutic point of view, it is considered to be avara as such. Next is regarding Satmya. So in Satmya, it is nothing but what are the factors that are congenial to an individual. So this always depends upon what the individual has habituated, or the individual has followed throughout his life. So Satmyadaschedi, Satmyam nama tadyat sadatyena upasevyamana upashedehe. So all those things which has become congenial to one's body because of the prolonged usage. So there are individuals who have habituated healthy diet and lifestyle, and there are some other individuals who are habituated to unhealthy diet and lifestyle. So depending upon that, we say one is a pravara satmya, so that he has good tolerance level to diseases, whereas the other individual can be considered as avara satmya, because he will have high predisposition to diseases and poor tolerance to therapeutic measures. So here the satmya is explained based on the dietary pattern, but there are other satmyas as well, like desha satmya, kala satmya, etc. I'm not going into detail here because of fear of over elaboration. So I'm just sticking on to the what Charaka has explained in the context of Dashavidha Pariksha. तत्र ये घृत क्षीर तैल मांसरससात्म्याः सर्वरससात्म्याश्च ते बलवन्तः क्लेशसः चिरजीविनश्च भवन्ति. So an individual who habitually uses घृत, क्षीर, taila, Mamsa Rasa, etc. in his diet, and Sarva Rasa, all 6 rasas in his diet, or includes all 6 rasas in a balance in his diet, will be Balavan, so that he is Klesha Saha and Chirajeevinascha. There are other individuals who are Ruksha Satmya, so that they don't usually use Snigdha food items in their diet. So they are Ruksha Satmyas and Egarasa Satmya. There are certain individuals who uses one or two tastes or rasas excessively. Like there are individuals who take lot of spicy food items. So they are considered Egarasa Satmya. So such individuals will be Alpa Balaha. They have less body strength. Alpa Klesha Saha. So they don't tolerate hardships much. And Alpa Aisho, their lifespan also will be less. Alpa Sadhanasha, such individuals, even sadhana or therapeutic measures are also less for them compared to a Pravara Sadhya individual. Next possibility is a Vyamishra Sadhya. So that mix of that. So that they may use Grida and Shira intermittently, and they also uses rasa in a mixed form. Then such individual will be Madhya Balaha and Madhya Satmya. So again in Satmya we classify the individual into Pravara Satmya, Madhyama Satmya and Avara Satmya. So why this is important is the Satmya will give us an idea about the health status. As I told earlier, a Pravara Satmya individual will always have good health and they are less prone to diseases. And Satmya is again very important whenever planning a treatment is concerned. Why? Because we have to select the particular rasa of the medicine. We have to select which type of Aushadha yoga in terms of whether it is Grida or Arishta or Churna, whichever has to be taken in the given patient. That is based on the Satmya. For example, if an individual is Grida Asatmya, so that the Grida is not Satmya for that individual, we may not be able to select a medicated Grida for the treatment. So that is why knowing the Satmya is very important. Again, knowing the Satmya is important for prescribing the Pathya and Apatya, or the good and bad diet for the individual. So that is why such things are very important in planning the treatment strategy. So assessing Satmya is very important. Next is regarding the Sattva Bala. So in Sara we have seen Sattva Sara. So this Sattva here it indicates mental strength itself. So it's told again because of its importance. So Sattva Sattva Muchyade Manaha. Sattva is nothing but manas or mind or mental strength. It is again classified into Bala Bhedena Trividam, 3 types: Pravara, Madhyama and Avara. And why this is important? Again, this is important because we know disease predisposition, tolerance to treatment, etc. always depends upon the strength of the mind. So how we can identify it clinically? Tatra Pravara Sattvaha Sattva-saraste. So such individuals will have good Sattva-sara as explained earlier. So that is why Sattva-sara te sareshu upadishtaha. So these Pravara Sattva individuals will have all the Pravara Sattva-sara Lakshana explained in the context of Sara. Swalpa Sharira hi api te Nija Agandu Nimittasu Mahatishu api Pidasu Avyadaha Drishyande. Even an individual whose body is very of inferior quality compared to others, but still if he has good sattva, then he will tolerate very nicely all the disorders including nija and agandu. That is why he says swalpa sharira hi api te nijagandu nimittasu mahatishu api pidasu. So even if the disease is very severe, he will tolerate it nicely. Even though his body is very small or supple or soft and supple, still he can tolerate the disease because of its pravara sattva guna. In case of madhya sattvas, again madhya sattvas tu aparanam anubhanidhaya samstambhayandi atmana atmanam parervabi samstambhyande. So that such individuals will have a trait in the form of he will always look at others, and if he sees that others are also able to tolerate the illness, that will somewhat calm his mind, and he will also start tolerating the illness. So such individuals will always look at others how do they tolerate this the illness, or how do they tolerate the hardships. And by seeing others who are tolerating the illness, he will also become what you call okay with the illness. So this is very easy clinically, because there are individuals who comes to us with a disease, and they present it as a very small uh, affair. And there are some other individuals who comes to us and who says that I have an illness, it's very severe, I am not able to tolerate. Okay, but my one of my neighbor is also having this and he is tolerating, so I am okay with that. So such individuals we can classify under a madhyama sattva. Next is hina sattva. Hina sattvastu na atmana nabi parehi sattvabalam prati chakyande ubastambedum. So such individuals will not be able to tolerate even a very small illness. Even they look at others and their sufferings, even looking at that also they will not be pacified. And mahasharirahi, even though they have a very big sharira or body, even though they have a big body, they solpanamabi vedanana asaha drishyante. Even a small event, just like an ant bite, they may not be able to tolerate, even if they have a very huge body. Sannihida bhaya shoga lobha moha mana raudra bhairava dvishta bibhatsa vigrida sanghadaswabicha pashu purusha mamsa shonitani cha avekshya vishada vaivarnya murcha unmada brahma prabadanana anyatamam apnuvanti adava maranamidi. Such individuals, they are always anxious, they are afraid, they get frightened even by very small factors, and they are very much prone to diseases like depression or loss of consciousness, or even full-fledged psychiatric disorders. So usually they are very weak mentally. So that is why in Sattva Bala we can classify the individuals into Pravara, Madhyama and Avara. Pravara, whatever may be the case, even if they have a very small body, they are able to tolerate most of the or all of the severe illnesses that they may come across. Madhyama, always they look at others, and if they see that others are also suffering and they are able to tolerate that, then that will pacify their mind and they will gain strength from others. But in Hina Sattva, they will never gain strength themselves or from others. They get easily frightened and anxious, and always they are afraid, and they are more prone to psychiatric disturbances, including depression, anxiety, or full-fledged mental diseases like schizophrenia. So that is regarding Sattva. So this is again important in case of disease predisposition, manifestation of the disease. For example, in a Pravara Sattva individual, even the disease is very severe, it may present as a very mild disease. So again, it has influence on the manifestation of the disease, response to the disease, how the individual responds to the disease, and tolerance to treatment modalities. For example, some of the Shodhana measures like Niruha Vasti or Vamana, etc., cannot be tolerated by Avara Sattva individual. Next is the Ahara Shakti. Ahara Shakti can be examined by two factors. One is the Abhyavarana Shakti, the other one is the Jarana Shakti. Abhyavarana Shakti is the ability for food intake, how much quantity the individual can consume. And Jarana Shakti is how much or how fast the patient can or the individual can digest the food. So that is the Jarana Shakti. So some individuals, they may eat or consume more amount of food, and they may take much time to get it digested. So that is why in such individuals, Abhyavarana Shakti is Pravara and Jarana Shakti is Avara, because he cannot digest it properly. So Ahara Shakti is a what you call combination of these two factors. One is the ability to consume, how much quantity he can consume, and Jarana Shakti is the power of the individual to digest that. Some other individuals, they have Pravara Abhyavarana Shakti, so that they eat voraciously and even they digest also very fast. So this give you an idea about Ahara Shakti. So here we also have to take into consideration the status of Agni. So Agni is classified into 4 stages, that is Sama, Vishama, Tikshna and Manda. Sama is a normal functioning Agni. Vishama is a Vata predominant Agni. Tikshna is a Pitta predominant Agni, and Manda is a Kapha predominant Agni. So let us look into each of the features. This is explained in Susruta Sutrasthana 35th chapter. स चतुर्विधो भवति दोषाभिपन्न एकः विक्रियामापन्नस्त्रिविधो भवन्ति. So depending upon the dosha predominance, there can be three, that is Vishamo Vadena, Tikshna Pittena, Mandaha Sleshmana, Chadurtaha Samaha. If all the doshas are in balance, then it is Samagni. So how to identify this clinically? Tatra yo yadhakalam upayuktam annam samyak pachati sa samaha. So if the individual consumes the food in exact quantity at the exact time, and if it digests properly, then such an individual is said to have a sama state of Agni. In case of Vishama Agni, yaha kadajit samyak pachati, kadajit admana shula udavarta adisara jadara gaurava andravojana pravahanani kritva sa vishamaha. So vishama is always due to the influence of the vada. So we know that vada is what you call unpredictable. So such individuals with vishama agni will have an unpredictable nature of their appetite and food intake patterns. So sometimes they have very good appetite and it digests properly, and on other occasions they digest it very poorly and also cause discomfort like admana, shula, udavarta, etc. etc. So that is Vishama Agni. Next is Tikshna Agni, which is what you call as a voracious eater, or the patient have very high appetite. This is because of the influence of Pitta. Prabhudamapi upayuktam annam ashu pachati. Even though the patient, the individual consumes very high quantity, it gets digested very fast. Sa eva abhivardhamano atyagni. So if the Tikshna Agni gets more excited, then it leads to a stage known as Atyagni. So what happens in Atyagni? Saha muhu muhu prabodham api upayuktam annam ashudaram pachati. Such individuals, even though they consume food in high quantity, that too frequently, then also all those things, all those food substances gets digested very fast. Pagandecha gala talu oshta shosha daha sandaban janedi. After the or at the end of the digestion, it produces clinical manifestations like gala talu oshta shosha daha. So dryness and burning sensation in the gala talu and oshta pradesha, and sandaba, body temperature as well. Next is the fourth one is the mandagni, which is in the influence of kapha. Yastu alpam abhi upayuktam udara shirogaurava kasa shwasa prasega chardi gatra sadanani kritva mahada kalena pajati. So in mandagni, what happens? Even though the person consumes food in the normal quantity or the exact quantity that is fit for him at the exact timing, still the body takes too much time, or the agni takes too much time to digest the food, and during the course of the digestion it produces features like gaurava of the udara and shiras, and manifestations like kasa, shwasa, prasega, chardi, gatra sadhana, or tiredness. So that is a feature of mandagni. So whenever we assess the ahara shakti, we also have to assess the agni. Assessment of agni is an important factor in patient management, because we know that almost all Nija rogas originate from some or other dysfunction of the agni. Again, for planning the treatment strategy, agni is an important factor, because depending upon the different power or stages of the agni, we may have to modify our medications. That is why agni is a very important factor in assessment. Next is the Vyayama Shakti. This is the 9th factor among the Dashavidha Pariksha. This is the physical, what you call, ability of the individual. We can also say that it indicates the physical strength of the individual, or the exercise tolerance of the individual. So Vyayama Shakti Dascheri, Vyayama Shakti Rabi, Karma Shaktiya Pariksha. So the ability to do his routine activities, as well as what you call activities demanding high muscle strength and body strength. We can ask the patient whether he is able to carry out his day-to-day activities, and those activities which warrants too much physical strength and endurance, we can ask the patient. So with that, we can classify the patient into Pravara Vyayama Shakti, Madhyama Vyayama Shakti, and Avara Vyayama Shakti. Clinically, what we can do is we can quantify this into the patient's ability to walk a particular distance, take the stairs, or walk with carrying a certain weight. Like that, we can quantify. There are several measures available to quantify the Vyayama Shakti. we can also make use of that in the clinics. Next is the bias. So age is again very important. We know that age has importance in terms of uh, defining the body strength, deciding the body strength, predisposition to certain diseases. In therapy, again, if we have to plan the treatment strategy, selection of the Shodhana procedures, dosing the medicines, all these things needs age to be taken into consideration. So Charaka has classified age into three: Balam, Madhyam and Jeernam. There are several other classifications of bias as well, but I have followed here the Charaka's classification. So here he explains about Balam, Aparipakva Dhadum, Ajada Vyanjanam, Sugumaram, Akleshasaham, Asampurna Balam, Shleshma Dhadu Prayam, Ashodasha Varsham. So up to 16 years, it can be considered as Bala, and such individuals will have Aparipakva Dhadu. All the Dhadus are in the Aparipakva stage. Basically, they are Sugumara and they are Klesha Asahishnus. They cannot tolerate much hardships until the age of 16. We know that kids, they are less tolerant to all those hardships. And basically, they are Shleshma, Kapha Pradhana stage, so that they are more prone to Kapha diseases. Next is a Vivardhamana stage, which is from the 17th age to the 30th age, that is Vivardhamana Dhadu, where all the Dhadus gets fully functional. Next is the Madhyam, that is from the 30th to 60th age is Madhyam Avastha, so that all the Dhadus are completely formed. They have good physical endurance and immunity. So that is why Madhyam Punaha Samatvagada Bala Virya Paurusha Parakrama Grahana Dharana Smarana Vajana Vijnana Sarvadhadu Gunam Balastidam Avastidam Avastida Sattvam Avishiryamana Dhadu Gunam Pitta Dhadu Prayam Ashashti Varsham. So basically they are Pitta predominant in this stage. They have already attained good Bala, Virya, Paurusha, Parakrama and mental strength like good comprehension, good memory, good decision making power, good knowledge, and they are Sarva Sadhu Guna Sampanna. So that all the Dhadus are in excellent stage, and almost all the Dhadus are in stable stage. That is why Avishiryamana Dhadu Guna, and up to 60th age, this is the state, Madhyama. Next is the Vardhakya or Jeerna Avastha, Adha Param, Hiyamana Dhadu, Indriya Bala Virya, Paurusha Parakrama, Grahana Dharana Smarana, Vajana Vijnanam. So all these attributes starts depleting, all the functioning of the mind, the brain functions will start deteriorating. So after the age of 60. Brashyamana Dhadu Gunam, all the Dhadu Saras also starts depleting. Vayu Dhadu Prayam Krama. So in such age group, Vada predominant diseases are more predominant. This is till the age of 100. So we can classify basically up to 16 is Bala, 16 to 30th is Vivardhamana Avastha, 30th to 60 is Madhya, and beyond 60 is Jeerna Avastha. Next question is, we have seen all these 10 factors: Prakriti, Vikriti, Sara, Samhanana, Sattva, Satmya, Pramana, Ahara Shakti, Vyayama Shakti, Vaya, etc. 10 factors. Next question is how to score this. So I have told you that already. We can assess them individually, and we have to get an overall score to get an overall idea about the what is the bala of the individual, given individual. So that is why Acharya says evam prakrityadina vikriti varjyanam bhavana pravara madhya avara vibhagena bala vishesham. We have to classify all these factors. After assessing all these factors, we classify the individual into pravara, madhyama and avara. So that if the patient has kapha pradhana prakriti, then he is of pravara prakriti. If the patient has almost all the sara lakshanas, all the independent saras as all pravara, then overall the sara status is pravara. So in the same way, we assess all those factors and we classify each of them into pravara, madhyama and avara. In case of vikriti, we have to always assess the dosha, dusha, etc. Then classify the disease based on the roga bala. That we will deal in the part 4 of this lecture series. And based on these two, we are going to decide what sort of medicines or therapeutic measures are fit for the given patient. For example, in a Pravara Bala individual with a Pravara or what you call Balavan Vyadhi, then we can go for a Tikshna or a very potent medicine or potent therapeutic measures like Basti, Vamana, etc. But if an individual has Avara Bala and Avara factors of all the Prakriti Bhavas, and if the disease has a Pravara Bala, so an Avara patient, Pravara disease, then we may go for either a Madhyama Bala medicine or a Mrudu Bala medicine, depending upon the tolerance capacity of the individual. Suppose if the patient has a Pravara Bala and a very Mrudu disease, then we can go for a Mrudu medicine. So like this, we can work out various permutation and combinations. That is why identifying the 10 factors and scoring the 10 factors are very important as far as planning the therapeutic protocol in Ayurveda is concerned. We can also go for alternate scoring systems. If you go through several published literatures, we get a lot of scoring systems available in the public domain that can be used to assess Dashavidha Pariksha. So one approach is you give 4 points to all those factors which are Pravara, 2 points for Madhyama and 1 point for Avara. Then you take that if the total score is 35 or more than that, then the individual has Pravara Bala. If the score is between 18 and 35, then the individual has Madhyama Bala. And if the score is less than 18, then the individual has Avara Bala. So this is one just an example I highlighted here. You can prepare your own scoring systems and you can use, or there are validated and published what you call Dashavidha Pariksha questionnaires or tools available in the public domain. You can make use of those as well for the Dashavidha Pariksha. Before concluding the section on Dashavidha Pariksha, there is also another point that is highlighted by Acharya Charaka, that there are certain body who are who tolerate diseases very poorly. They are called as Avyadi Sahani Sharirani. So Sharirani, Adistulani, Adikrishani, Anivishtamamsa Shonidastini, Durbalani, Asatmyaharobhajitani, Alpaharani, Alpasatvani cha Bhavandi Avyadi Sahani. So that individuals who are Adistula, obese, Adikrisha, excessively lean, then Anivishtamamsa Shonidastini, improperly functioning or improperly formed Mamsa Shonidanasti, Durbala, basically who are very weak, Asatmyahara, who are exposed to non-congenial dietary patterns, and Alpaharani, who takes very less food, that means malnutrition, and Alpasatvani, who has very weak mental power. Such individuals, they don't tolerate diseases very nicely. So these are Avyadi Sahani Sharirani. So that is regarding Dashavidha Pariksha of a patient.